The ruins were enormous, too huge. The cuts were too precise. The alignment was too perfect. Archaeologists were baffled. No other civilization on Earth had tools advanced enough to do this. So, who built them? Some say the answer lies beyond this world. Let's discover the most terrifying and mysterious structures in the world that may prove we've never been alone.
Number 10. Bada Valley Megaliths. Hidden in the remote mountains of central Sulawesi, Indonesia, hundreds of ancient stone statues stand guard over rice fields and jungle clearings. The Bada Valley megaliths are some of the most mysterious sculptures in Southeast Asia, with no known connection to any documented civilization. These aren't crude stone carvings. They're sophisticated sculptures with distinct facial features, varying poses, and individual characteristics that suggest they represent specific people. The largest statue stands over 14 feet tall and weighs several tons, yet it was carved from a single block of granite and somehow transported to its current location without modern machinery. Dating estimates range wildly from 1,000 to 5,000 years old, and no one knows who created them or why. The statues show no stylistic similarity to other Indonesian art traditions, leading some researchers to suggest they represent a completely unknown prehistoric culture. Many of the megaliths are shaped like large jars or urns, and archaeological investigation has revealed that some contain burial chambers filled with human remains and ancient artifacts. The precision of the carving work suggested the sculptures had advanced metalworking capabilities, yet no metal tools from the appropriate time period have been found in the region. Local legends speak of a vanished kingdom whose rulers were turned to stone, but no historical records support the existence of such a civilization. The statues are scattered across a wide area with no apparent pattern, though some researchers believe they may have been arranged according to astronomical alignment that have been obscured by centuries of jungle growth and geological changes.
Number 9. Nurage Towers of Sardinia. Sardinia hosts over 7,000 mysterious stone towers called nurage that represent one of Europe's most sophisticated Bronze Age civilizations. These aren't simple defensive structures. They're complex architectural achievements that demonstrate engineering knowledge far ahead of their time. The largest nurage rises over 60 feet high and contain multiple chambers connected by stone staircases and corbelled passages. What makes them impossible is their construction technique. Massive stones fitted together without mortar, creating structures that have survived 3,500 years of earthquake and weather. The precision required to stack irregular stones in stable configurations up to 7 stories high requires mathematical calculations that supposedly didn't exist in Bronze Age Europe. Many nurage contain wells that tap into underground water sources, sophisticated drainage systems, and ventilation shafts that maintain constant interior temperatures. The Nuragic civilization that built these towers also created bronze figurines with details so fine. They required millworking techniques that weren't officially developed until much later. Archaeological evidence suggests the Nurage builders had contact with civilizations across the Mediterranean, trading goods and ideas from Spain to Cyprus. Yet, their architectural style is completely unique. Nothing similar exists anywhere else in the ancient world. The towers often incorporate astronomical alignments, with doorways and windows positioned to frame specific celestial events. Inside the largest complex, archaeologists affirmed evidence of metallurgy, textile production, and agricultural processing that indicated a highly organized society. The Nuragi people simply vanished from history around
500 BC, leaving behind no written records, but thousands of these impossible stone towers that continue to puzzle engineers and archaeologists today.
I have a question for you. First, I would like to say that it is possible to follow the greatest curiosities of our world every day. But to do so, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, are you already subscribed? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Also, take the opportunity to like the video, so YouTube will recommend more videos from our channel. So leave your like right now. And now that you have done that, let's go!
Number 8. The rock churches of Lalibela.
Deep in Ethiopia's highlands stand 11 churches that defy explanation. These aren't your typical ancient buildings. They're carved downward into solid volcanic rock, creating negative space architecture that seems to mock the laws of physics. King Lalibela ordered their construction around 800 years ago, but locals insist angels did the actual work. The story sounds crazy until you see them yourself. Each church is a monolithic masterpiece carved from a single piece of bedrock, with intricate windows, doors, and interior chambers all hewn from the same continuous stone. The engineering precision required to hollow out these structures without collapse is staggering. Modern architects study these churches and scratch their heads at the mathematical computations needed to remove thousands of tons of rock while maintaining structural integrity. The Church of St. George stands as the crown jewel, a perfect Greek cross carved 40 feet deep into the ground. But here's where it gets weird. These churches connect through underground tunnels and share a sophisticated water management system that channels artesian springs throughout the complex. The water flows uphill in some sections, defying gravity through techniques we still don't understand. Local priests claimed the builders possessed divine knowledge, and honestly, looking at these impossible structures, that explanation seems as valid as in the other.
Number 7. Nan Madol. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, on a tiny island called Pohnpei, sits one of archaeology's biggest puzzles. Nan Madol is an artificial city built entirely on a coral reef using massive basalt columns arranged like giant pickup sticks. This Venice of the Pacific covers 200 acres and consists of nearly 100 artificial islands connected by canals. The Sadalura dynasty built this marvel between 1180 and 1200 AD, but the engineering challenges they overcame seemed impossible for an isolated island culture. Each basalt log weighs several tons, and there are an estimated 750,000 of them stacked in perfect geometric patterns. The nearest source of basalt is on the opposite side of the island, meaning builders somehow transported these massive stones across difficult terrain without wheels, cranes, or large boats. Local legends claim the stones flew through the air, guided by magic, and when you see the precision of the construction, supernatural assistance starts seeming plausible. The Royal Mortuary Complex contains columns arranged in patterns that create acoustic chambers, while the administrative sections show urban planning concepts that wouldn't appear in Europe for centuries. Rising sea levels now threaten this UNESCO World Heritage Site, and many structures have already collapsed into the ocean. What makes Nan Madol even more mysterious is its sudden abandonment. The Sadalura dynasty simply vanished, leaving behind no written records explaining how they built their impossible city or why they left it behind.
Number 6. Sacsayhuama. High above the ancient Inca capital of Cusco sits Sacsayhuama, a fortress built from stones so massive and precisely fitted that modern engineers can't explain how it was constructed. Some of these limestone blocks weigh over 300 tons and are cut with such accuracy that you can't slide a knife blade between them. The largest stone is estimated at 361 tons, heavier than most modern buildings. Spanish conquistadors who saw Sacsayhuama intact described walls that seemed to flow like liquid stone, with blocks fitted together in complex three-dimensional puzzles that required no mortar.
The precision isn't just impressive, it's mathematically impossible using the tools available to Ink-of-Dooders. Each stone has up to 12 angles that must align perfectly with surrounding blocks, requiring calculations that would challenge modern computer modeling. The Intas somehow quarried these enormous blocks from sites miles away, transported them across mountainous terrain, and lifted them into position at an altitude of 12,000 feet. The construction technique involves interlocking stones in patterns that make the entire structure earthquake-resistant, a critical feature in one of the world's most seismically active regions. Recent archaeological work has revealed that Sacsayhuama extends deep underground with subterranean chambers and tunnels that may connect to other Inta sites throughout the Cusco Valley. The Spanish partially demolished the fortress to build colonial Cusco, but even their systematic destruction couldn't remove the largest stones. Local legends claim the stones were softened by plant extracts that made them malleable like clay, then hardened back to stone after being positioned. While this sounds like fantasy, no conventional explanation adequately accounts for the precision and scale of Sacsayhuama's construction.
Number 5. Teotihuacan. Mexico's Teotihuacan presents one of archaeology's strangest paradoxes, a massive ancient city whose real name we don't even know. At its peak around 500 AD, this metropolis housed over 200,000 people, making it larger than Rome at the time. The city's main avenue stretches for miles, anchored by the massive pyramids of the sun and moon, both aligned with astronomical precision to celestial events. But here's what's bizarre. Despite being one of Mesoamerica's most important cities for over 600 years, Teotihuacan appears in almost no contemporary written records from neighboring civilizations. It's as if this massive urban center existed in complete isolation, which makes no sense given its obvious wealth and architectural sophistication. The Pyramid of the Sun contains over 2.5 million tons of stone and earth, with internal chambers that show evidence of advanced acoustic engineering. Archaeologists have discovered that clapping your hands at the base of the Temple of Kukulkan produces an echo that mimics the chirp of the sacred Quetzal bird, an effect that requires precise mathematical calculations to achieve. The city's sudden abandonment around 650 AD remains unexplained, with evidence suggesting that the inhabitants simply walked away, leaving behind vast temples, palaces, and residential complexes. Recent discoveries of liquid mercury deposits under the temples add another layer of mystery. Why would ancient builders use this toxic substance in their most sacred spaces?
Number 4. The Osirian at Abydos. Beneath the famous temple of Seti I in Egypt lies one of the most puzzling structures in the ancient world. The Osirian sits 50 feet underground, built from massive granite blocks that dwarf the limestone construction above. While Seti's temple displays the refined artistry typical of New Kingdom Egypt, the Osirian looks like it belongs to a completely different civilization. The granite blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, are fitted together with precision that modern masons struggle to replicate. There's no mortar, no decoration, just raw engineering that speaks of capabilities far beyond what we attribute to ancient Egypt. The structure was designed to flood with Nile water, creating an island effect that may have represented the primordial mound of creation in Egyptian mythology. But here's the problem. The Osirians' architectural style doesn't match anything else from Seti's period or any other known Egyptian dynasty. The massive stones, the megalithic construction technique, the complete absence of hieroglyphs, everything suggests this structure predates the temple above by thousands of years. British archaeologists who rediscovered it in 1902 were amazed by the contrast between the crude power of the Osirian and the artistic refinement of Seti's temple. Some researchers now believe the Osirian represents remnants of a much older civilization that New Kingdom Egyptians built upon, incorporating this mysterious structure into their own religious complex without fully understanding its original purpose.
Number 3. Göbekli Tepe. Turkey's Göbekli Tepe rewrote human history when archaeologists uncovered it in the 1990s. This massive temple complex is 12,000 years old, twice as ancient as Stonehenge, and built before humans supposedly knew how to farm. The site consists of enormous stone pillars arranged in circles, some weighing up to 50 tons, and decorated with intricate animal carvings. Here's what makes this impossible. The people who built Göbekli Tepe were hunter-gatherers who hadn't invented pottery, agriculture, or even the wheel. Yet somehow they quarried, transported, and erected these massive T-shaped pillars with precision that would challenge modern construction crews. The carvings show lions, snakes, spiders, and scorpions, rendered with artistic skill that suggests a sophisticated culture. But the biggest mystery is intentional burial. Someone deliberately covered the entire complex with tons of earth around 8,000 years ago, preserving it like a time capsule. Archaeologists have only excavated 5% of the site, and ground-penetrating radar shows at least 20 more stone circles waiting underground. The astronomical alignments found at Göbekli Tepe suggest its builders understood celestial mechanics thousands of years before we thought such knowledge existed. This wasn't just a temple, it was humanity's first attempt at permanent architectural, built by a civilization that officially didn't have the technology or social organization to create something this complex.
Number 2. Hal Saflieni Hypogeum. Malta's Hal Saflieni Hypogeum is a prehistoric underground temple that demonstrates acoustic engineering so advanced it still baffles scientists today. This 5,000-year-old complex consists of 34 interconnected chambers carved directly into limestone bedrock, creating a 3-story subterranean labyrinth. The builders somehow understood acoustic principles that weren't officially discovered until the modern era. The ornicle chamber produces one of the most remarkable sound effects in archaeology. A male voice speaking at 110 Hz resonates throughout the entire complex with supernatural clarity, while higher frequencies simply disappear. This isn't an accident of geology, it's precise acoustic engineering that required sophisticated understanding of sound wave physics. Archaeological evidence suggests the Hypogeum served as both temple and necropolis, with over 7,000 human remains discovered in its chambers. The famous sleeping lady figurine found here depicts a woman in a position that suggests ritual dreaming or prophetic visions, supporting theories that this was a center for oracular practices. The underground chambers are painted with red ochre spirals and other geometric patterns that may represent astronomical conservations or religious symbols. Construction required removing thousands of tons of limestone using only stone and bronze tools. Yet, the chambers show no tool marks of their smooth walls. The builders also incorporated natural acoustics with artificial modifications, creating spaces where whispers carry clearly across vast distances while normal conversation remains localized. Access is now severely restricted due to conservation concerns. Only 80 visitors per day can enter this underground wonder.
Number 1. Yangshan Quarry. In eastern China lies archaeological evidence of the most ambitious construction project never completed. The Yongshan quarry contains a partially carved stone stele that would have been the largest worked stone in human history, if anyone could have figured out how to move it. The unfinished monument measures 230 feet long and would have weighed over 6,600 tons when complete. To put that in perspective, this single stone would be heavier than 4 modern jumbo jets combined. The Ming Dynasty commissioned this massive stele around 1405 AD to honor the Yongle Emperor. But the project was abandoned when workers realized the impossibility of transporting such an enormous stone. The quarry site shows evidence of incredibly sophisticated stone cutting techniques, with perfectly straight cuts extending deep into the bedrock and surfaces polished to mirror smoothness. Chinese artisans used techniques that produced stoneworking precision matching modern diamond blade saws. Yet they accomplished this 600 years ago using traditional tools. The abandoned stele reveals the construction process. Workers carved channels around the intended stone, gradually separating it from the surrounding bedrock through a process that would have taken years to complete. The failure to move the Yongshan stele demonstrates the practical limits of pre-industrial construction, even for a civilization as technologically advanced as Ming China. Yet, the very attempt suggests that Chinese engineers believed they could solve the transportation problem, implying knowledge of stone-moving techniques that aren't recorded in these historical sources. Recent analysis of the cutting marks shows evidence of tools and techniques that don't match any known traditional Chinese methods, leading some researchers to wonder if the project involved forgotten technologies or outside assistance.
Now I have a special recommendation for you. Are you seeing this video that is appearing on the screen? Click on it because I'm sure you'll like it. Well, that's it, and until next time, Curious One.